So you are saying x is say x1, x2, xn, and then we define y1 is equal to say f1 of x1, x2, xn, and so on. Ym is equal to say fm of x1, x2, xn. So we have y as a m dimensional random vector. Okay. So y is m dimensional random vector. So x is a random vector, then we have a m dimensional function of that, then that is also a random vector. So in general, we are interested to find out the distribution of y. Okay. In the last class, I have discussed how to find out distributions of the sums of random variables if a particular kind of things are given. So if independence is there, then we can use the moment generating function approach. For a specific types of functions, sometimes moment generating function is useful. For example, in finding out distributions of sums of independent random variables, because we have seen that the distribution, the MGF of the sum is equal to product of the MGFs if the random variables are independent. Okay. So let me take up one example here. Let x1, x2, xn follow normal mu sigma square. Okay. I am putting IID means independent and identically distributed. Okay. Let us consider say y is equal to sigma xi, I is equal to 1 to n. So if I use the MGF approach, then the moment generating function of y is nothing but the product of the moment generating functions of x1, x2, xn at the point t. Hello. So this is equal to product I is equal to 1 to n. Now the MGF of the normal mu sigma square is e to the power mu t plus half sigma square t square. Okay. So this is nothing but e to the power n mu t plus half n sigma square t square. That is y follows normal n mu and n sigma square. Okay. So if I am considering independent normal random variables, then the distribution of the sum is normal with mean added n times and the variance also added n times. Similarly, suppose I consider x bar. X bar is y by n, that is sigma xi by n. Then what will be the distribution of this? We have seen the linearity property of the normal distribution, so this will become mu and n sigma square by n square, that means sigma square by n. So the mean of independent observations from a normal distribution also follows a normal distribution with the same mean, and the variance is divided by n. Is this okay? Is this statement clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So MGF approach is useful. For example, in the last class, I have given the linearity property of the normal distribution, the linearity property of the bivariate normal distribution. So in all those cases, the MGF is used for proving all those statements. However, if you have different kind of functions, then MGF approach may not always be useful. So in those cases, so if you have discrete case, then we may have to use a direct probability mass function approach. Or if we are dealing with the continuous random variables, then we have to use a transformation of the PDF approach. Like you have seen in the case of one variable, a similar thing is there for the case of more than one variable also. So let us take, say, one example. If random variables are discrete, we may have to use probability mass function directly to derive transformed variables. So let us take one exercise. Let x, y be independent binomial NP. So if I ask you what is the distribution of x plus y, you have seen the additive property of the binomial distribution, then it will become binomial 2NP. Okay, so this is through the MGF approach. Suppose I define x minus y. In place of addition, I am looking at the difference, and I want the distribution of v. First of all, what is the range of values of x minus y? Each x and y, they take values 0, 1 to n. So if I look at the differences, the maximum difference can be n minus 0, that is n, and the minimum difference can be 0 minus n, that is minus n. So the values of v will be minus n minus 1 and so on, minus 1, 0, 1 and so on up to n. So this is the range of the values of v, and we are looking at what is the probability that v is equal to, say, small v. So it is equal to probability of x minus v is equal to v. So to express this thing, we can consider, we can bring, say, y on the right hand side, and now we look at the joint. So this is equal to probability of x is equal to v plus, say, y, and y is equal to small y, where y is from 0 to n. Now, because of the independence, this joint probability can become the product of these probabilities. Into probability of y is equal to y. Y is equal to 0 to n. subject to the condition that v plus y will lie between 0 and n, because v plus y is the value of x and x is also 0, 1 to n. So v plus y also can take only those values, and y of course can take only 0 to n. Are these steps clear?
Yes, sir.
So you just substitute the values here. So because we know the distribution of x, that is binomial np, so this is nc v plus y p to the power v plus y 1 minus p to the power n minus v minus y. And what is the probability of y is equal to small y? That is again binomial. So it is ncy p to the power y 1 minus p to the power n minus y. So that is equal to, of course we can merge these terms, nc v plus y ncy p to the power v plus 2y and 1 minus p to the power 2n minus v minus 2y. Y is equal to 0 to n such that v plus y can take values 0, 1 to n, in order that these notations are valid. Is this okay? So this is a direct probability mass function approach to derive the distribution of function of a discrete random variable. Let me just take up another similar kind of exercise. Let us take, say, u is equal to, say, x divided by y plus 1 and v is equal to, say, y plus 1. I want to find out the joint distribution of u and v. Okay, what is the joint distribution? So whenever we are considering a function of random variables, we should look at the region in which the distribution is having validity. So for example, both x and y, they take values 0, 1 to n. So what will be the values of v? V can take values 1, 2 up to n plus 1. What are the values of u then? U can take values, because x can take value 0, 1 to n, and then y plus 1 can take values 1 to n plus 1. So all the combinations are possible. So for example, if x is equal to 0, then it will remain 0. And then of course, if I am taking y is equal to 0, then this can become 1, 2 up to, okay. Let me write it in a sequential fashion. 1 by 2, 1 by 3, and so on. 1 by n plus 1. So if x is equal to 0, it will remain 0. If x is equal to 1, then it can take values 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3 up to 1 by n plus 1. Then it can take values 2, then 2 by 2, that is again 1 of course, then 2 by 3 and so on, 2 by n plus 1 and so on. Finally n, n by 2 and so on, n by n plus 1. So this is a set of values that you can take. So the joint probability mass function of uv, that is probability that u is equal to say small u and capital V is equal to say small v. So that is probability x is equal to uv and y is equal to v minus 1. So that is probability x is equal to uv. Because of the independence, I can split it. This becomes probability y is equal to v minus 1. And both x and y are binomial NP. So this can be written hello. So this we can write as NC uv p to the power uv 1 minus p to the power n minus uv NC v minus 1 p to the power v minus 1 1 minus p to the power n minus v plus 1. And I have already written the range of u and v, so that is there. So is this example clear? This is a direct PMF approach. Is this example clear?
Yes, sir.
Let x, y have joint PMF suppose x can take values -1, 0 and 1 and y can take values -2, 1 and 2. So this is 1 by 6, 1 by 12, 1 by 6, 1 by 6, then 1 by 12, then 1 by 6, then this is say 1 by 12, this is 0, this is 1 by 12. And I am defining u is equal to say mod x and v is equal to say y square. And I want the joint distribution of uv. Okay, what is the joint distribution? So can you tell me the answer here? Any one of you? What is the joint probability mass function of uv here? U can take values 0 and 1 and V can take values 1 and 4. So we want if I put say U is here and V is here, then this is 0 1 and this is 1 4. What is the probability that u is equal to 0 and v is equal to 1. So that is the same as the probability that x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1. So that is 1 by 12. Similarly, what is the probability that u is equal to 1, v is equal to 1? That is probability u is equal to -1 and y is equal to 1, and u is equal to plus x is equal to +1 and y is equal to +1. So if you sum these things, 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6, that is so you are looking at -1 1, that is 1 by 6, and +1 1, that is 1 by 6. So that is becoming 1 by 3. Similarly, what is the probability u is equal to 0, v is equal to 4? That is x is equal to 0 and y is equal to -2, and x is equal to 0 and y is equal to +2. So that is 1 by 12 plus 0, that is again 1 by 12. And then what is the probability that u is equal to 1, v is equal to 1? So here you will have 4 combinations. X is equal to -1, y is equal to -2, that is 1 by 6, and then x equal to -1 and y is equal to 2, that is 1 by 12, and then you have x is equal to 1 and y is equal to -2, that is again 1 by 6, and then you have x equal to 1 and y is equal to 2, that is again 1 by 12. So it becomes 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6, that is 1 by 2. So this is the joint probability mass function of u and v. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me take up one direct CDF approach also. Although in the case of random vectors, this is quite complicated because the CDF of a function becomes little bit complex. But let me just do one exercise, okay? So let us take let x, y have joint PDF given by say fxy, that is equal to 1 plus xy divided by 4 mod x less than 1 and mod y less than 1. It is 0 elsewhere. So u is equal to x square, and let us take say v is equal to y square. If I calculate the joint CDF of u and v, probability of u is less than or equal to u, v less than or equal to v. So of course we will consider between -1 to 1 only, x and y. So u and v are between 0 and 1. So for that, see 0 less than u less than or equal to 1, 0 less than v less than or equal to 1. So I don't know whether I have put less or less than or equal to less than. So on this side it will be less than, and this side it will become okay. So then this is nothing but probability of minus square root u less than x less than or equal to root u, and this is minus v less than y less than or equal to root v. So this can be calculated from the joint distribution, that is 1 plus xy divided by 4. X is integrated from minus root u to plus root u, and y is also integrated from minus root v to plus root v. So you can just check it, it is nothing but root u into root v. So we have the joint CDF, and from here I can calculate the joint PDF by differentiating with respect to u and v respectively. Is this example clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let us look at a general result in the case of continuous random variables where we use Jacobian. Okay, so I will state the result in the form of a theorem here. Let x continuous random vector with joint PDF let ui be equal to gi of x, I is equal to 1 to n. So I am considering Rn to Rn. And this u that is equal to u1, u2, un be a function from Rn to Rn. Okay. So if there is a 1 to 1, then inverses will exist. Let xi be equal to hi of u, I is equal to 1 to n. Okay. We assume the continuity of the function. Okay. Let the function and inverse both be continuous. Okay. We also assume the partial derivatives. Del xi by del uj, ij is equal to 1 to n. So we consider the Jacobian of the transformation. What is that Jacobian? It is nothing but the determinant of the derivatives, partial derivatives, del x1 by del u1, del x1 by del u2, and so on, del x1 by del un, del x2 by del u1, del x2 by del u2, and so on, and so on, del xn by del u1, del xn by del u2, and so on, del xn by del un. We assume that this Jacobian is non-zero. Okay, suppose this does not vanish, okay, in the range of the transformation. Then the random vector u that is equal to u1, u2, un is continuous and has joint PDF In place of x1 we put the inverse function h1u and so on. In place of xn I put inverse function hnu and multiply by the absolute value of the Jacobian. If you compare it with the case of one-dimensional result, then it is exactly the same, except that the determinant becomes the single term there, because there it was del x by del y. I had written it as del of g inverse y by del y. So it is exactly the same absolute value there. So this is the result for the 1, 1 function here. Let me explain it through one exercise here. So let us take, let x1, x2, x3 be IID, independent and identically distributed exponential random variables with lambda is equal to 1. Okay. This is clear? This is notation is clear to you? Exponential 1. Is the notation clear?
Yes, sir.
So the joint PDF of x is equal to x1, x2, x3. It is nothing but the product of the individual distributions of x1, x2, x3. So it is e to the power minus x1, e to the power minus x2, e to the power minus x3, where each of xi is positive. And I am defining a function, let y be equal to y1, y2, y3, where say y1 is equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3, y2 is say x1 plus x2 by x1 plus x2 plus x3, and y3 is say x1 divided by x1 plus x2. So y is equal to y1, y2, y3. We want joint PDF of y and marginal PDFs of y1, y2, y3. Okay. So the problem is clear. Is the problem statement clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So what is the distribution of y1? What is the distribution of y1? Can you tell me the distribution of y1? Anybody? because y1 is the sum of independent random variables. So for the sum we already have the MGF approach. Sum of independent exponential was gamma, isn't it? That we have already done. Anyway, let us do the direct approach using this theorem that we have given. So let us look at the inverse transformation here. So the inverse transformation you can calculate. X1 is equal to y1, y2, y3. X2 is equal to y1, y2, y minus y1, y2, y3. So I can write it as like this, and x3 is y1 into 1 minus y2, y1 minus y1, y2. So I can write it as y1 into 1 minus y2. What are the ranges of these variables? Y1 is positive, y2 will lie between 0 and 1, and y3 will also lie between 0 and 1, because exponential variables are non-negative, that is positive variables. Therefore, from the structure you can understand this is the range here. So Jacobian, that is del x1 by del y1, del x1 by del y2, del x1 by del y3, del x2 by del y1, del x2 by del y2, del x2 by del y3, and then you have del x1 by del x3 by del y1, del x3 by del y2, del x3 by del y3. So that is equal to y2, y3, then y1, y3, and then y1, y2, then y2 into 1 minus y3, y1 into 1 minus y2, minus y1, y2, and this is 1 minus y2, minus y1, and 0. So this is a simple determinant, you can calculate it, it is minus y1 square y2. So the joint distribution of y1, y2, y3 is obtained by the formula that I gave. That means in the joint PDF of x, you just substitute inverse functions and multiply by the absolute value of the Jacobian. So the joint PDF of y is given by y1 square y2 into e to the power minus y1, where y1 is positive, y2 is between 0 and 1, and y3 is between 0 and 1. So this is a joint PDF of y1, y2, y3. From here we can calculate the marginal distributions. For example, if I integrate with respect to y3, the marginal joint PDF of y1, y2. See, in this integrand actually there is no y3 here, so if I integrate from 0 to 1 I will get 1 itself. So the joint PDF of y1, y2, that will be simply same term. If I integrate with respect to y2, so the marginal PDF of y1 is, so I will get 1 by 2 y1 square e to the power minus y1. Which is of course gamma distribution with parameter r is equal to 3 and lambda is equal to 1. Okay, because the sum of independent exponentials with the same lambda is the gamma r lambda that we have done earlier in the last class. Is that okay? The marginal PDF of y2. So if you integrate with respect to y1, now you already know that this is the density of y1. So if I integrate with respect to y1, I'll get 2y2 here. So fy2 is 2y2 between, which is nothing but a beta distribution with parameter m is equal to 2 and n is equal to 1. This is a beta 2 1 distribution. And the marginal PDF of y3, because the marginal of PDF of y1 y2 is this, so if I integrate with respect to y1 and y2, I'll get 1 only. So this is nothing but y3, that is 1, which is nothing but the uniform distribution on the interval 0 to 1. Since you are getting the joint distribution is equal to product of the marginals, therefore we conclude that y1, y2, y3 are also independent. Is that clear? Could you follow this exercise? I don't get any response from the students. So are you following or not following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us take another exercise. Okay. Let x, y follow independent and identically distributed, say uniform 0, 1 random variables, and let us define, say u is equal to, say x plus y and v is equal to x minus y. So find joint and marginal PDFs of u and v. Okay, again it is a similar kind of exercise. So what is the joint PDF of x, y? From there I have to calculate. The joint PDF of x, y is uniform 0, 1 is simply 1, 0 less than x less than 1, 0 less than y less than 1. It is 0 at all other points. So let us look at this transformation uv from xy. So what is the inverse transformation? X is equal to u plus v by 2 and y is equal to u minus v by 2. So Jacobian is del x by del u, del x by del v, del y by del u, del y by del v. So we can immediately write down the values: half, half, half and minus half. So that is nothing but minus 1 by 2. So Jacobian is quite simple. And now let us look at the joint PDF of u and v. The joint PDF of u and v it is obtained from the distribution of xy, that is constant here, so that is 1 multiplied by absolute value of this Jacobian, so it is simply half, and you have to write down the range here. 0 less than u plus v is less than 2, and 0 less than u minus v is less than 2, where u and v lie between, u lies between 0 and 2 because x and y both are between 0 to 1, so x plus y will be between 0 and 2, and v is x minus y, so it will be from -1 to 1 and 0 elsewhere. So this is the joint distribution of u and v. Is that clear? Okay, let me ask, I can see some names here. Mayank Patidar. Are you there? Mayank Patidar. I think students are just putting and going away somewhere. I can see another name, Yashvi Jain.
Yes, sir.
Do you follow this? Are you following this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose I am considering now the marginal distribution of u and marginal of v. Okay. So in order to get the marginal distribution of u, you integrate with respect to v. So if u is between 0 to 1, then from here you can see the range of, because what is the range of v? V is from minus v to 2 minus u, and from here you get v is greater than u minus 2 and less than u. So you take the minimum range here. So if u is between 0 to 1, then this will become from minus u to u, and it is equal to dv from u minus 2 to 2 minus u if u is between 1 to 2. So of course this is an extremely simple integral. So this gives me u for 0 less than u less than 1 and 2 minus u for 1 less than u less than 2. It is 0 elsewhere. So this is the distribution of u, that is the sum of two independent uniform 0 1 distributions. Okay, if you plot it, how it will look like? 0 to 1 it is u, and 1 to 2 it is 2 minus u. It's a triangular distribution. Okay. Is this clear? The marginal distribution of u?
Yes, sir.
In a similar way, you can consider the, we can find out the marginal distribution of v also. The marginal PDF of v. So you have to integrate this half with respect to u. Now what is the range of u? Again you can see here the u is greater than minus v and less than 2 minus v, and from here you get u is greater than v and u is less than 2 plus v. So you have to take the shortest region, that is the intersection of these regions. So if v is between minus 1 to 0, then you can write the region as from minus v to v plus 2, and it is v to 2 minus v if v is between 0 to 1. So of course this is again extremely simple So 1 plus v if minus 1 is v less than or equal to 0, and it is 1 minus v if 0 is less than v less than 1, and it is 0 at all other points. So if you plot it, so this is v and this is fv. So minus 1 to 0 it is 1 plus v, and then from 0 to 1 it is 1 minus v. So minus 1, 1, 1, 0. Again it is a triangular distribution. So what we have established here is that the sum and difference of two independent uniform random variables have triangular distributions. So is this example clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is the case of one-to-one functions, but you may have many-one function also. So like in the case of one variable, what we did in the case of one variable, when we had a many-one function, then we split the region into independent disjoint regions such that in each region you have a one-to-one mapping, and then you calculate the density in each region and you sum them. So you get the joint PDF of the many-one functions also. A similar result is true for this random vectors also. So if I have a n-dimensional to n-dimension several random variables, then we consider this many-one functions and we split into disjoint regions and apply the same methodology. I will state the formal result in the next class, because now the class is almost time is almost over, so I will stop at this point. Okay, and I have given the syllabus in the chat box. You can see it is based on the joint distributions and the transformations, etc. So in the last class test we had up to continuous random variables. So in the last next class test we will have function of one variable, and then of course functions of several variables, and the joint distributions, bivariate, normal distribution, etc. I will be posting certain assignments maybe today and tomorrow, okay, based on these things. Okay, so I will stop the class at this point.
Thank you, sir.